Good morning, VCU. Good morning, VCU. I'd like to take time and welcome each and every one of you. Whether you're visiting us here at VCU or watching us from home, we encourage you to connect with us. It's easy. Just simply fill out that connection form located in the seat pocket in front of you, fill it out, and drop it in the offering plates located in the back of the auditorium. You can also visit our website at vcuchurch.org and click on the Connections tab. We have tons going on, so check out your bulletin for the latest announcements. Giving is made simple. You can grab a giving envelope located in the seat pocket in front of you or click on the Giving tab on our website. Welcome to VCU Children's Church. You are dismissed.
Good morning. So, oh my goodness. So first thing, oh, my noises are on. That's fun. First thing is, I get up here and, I'm trying to pay attention to worship and stuff, and then Taylor starts texting me, and this is the behind the scenes. We're going to peel the curtain back just a little bit. Supposedly, there is a black Ford Flex with their lights on in the parking lot. So that's hopefully that's not the most spiritual thing I say today. But yeah, if you do have a black Ford Flex, you might want to get your lights shut off, or find somebody with a jump box or something so that you can go home or go eat lunch. So, all right. So I think some things are working. So this morning, I've had some technical issues. I have an iPad that I normally used to preach with. And I've used it forever. It's what I've taught, youth group with. I've taught camps and taken it everywhere and all that. And apparently, electronics, when they're more than 20 years old, start to become unreliable. So apparently, I need to upgrade. So I've got my laptop up here today, and I've never taught or preached from my laptop. So this might be a little bit weird. So if I repeat something like 7 times, it might be because I don't think you got it, but it also might be because I couldn't get the page to turn on my computer. So I'm just going to keep repeating it until it works. So we'll see. You be the judge. So it's been a while since I've been up here preaching. I think it's been. I know it's been over a year. I'll put it that way. So it's been a minute since I've been up here preaching. So this kind of got to get the rust knocked off and stuff. And so this morning, as we start, is my dad here? Dang it. We'll see if we can get the internet to work. We've had some really bad issues with internet for the last month. So we are working on that. So if you are on the live stream and you do hear the words coming out of my mouth, we're trying the best we can. We're in Vibbard, so internet sometimes is a little bit of an issue. So we've been struggling with that lately. We get it working good for a couple weeks, and then it goes out, and we're dealing with the companies and trying to make sure all that's lined out. But if you are hearing me on the live stream, then apparently it's working, and we'll hope that it continues. So all right. So this morning, the title, I forgot to have him. He did it anyway. First off, I know Linda came up here and said what she said, but I also want to thank the guys in the back. This last year, we've thrown a bunch of stuff. Like live stream was new for us, doing all that, getting all the computers to talk to each other so that everything works in here on this screen and also at home. If you have had a chance to look at the live stream, like if you're out of town or you're sick or whatever, and you've looked at it, we've been really trying to learn how to put verses on the screen with the image and do all this weird new technical stuff that it should be easy enough, but for whatever reason they tend to be complicated. But those guys back there, Cody, Braxton, and Taylor, have really kind of locked down that side of things, and we're getting a pretty good handle on all that stuff. So I just want to give them a hand right now because. See, they're the ones that at 10:15, we come up to them at 10:15 in the morning when service starts at 10:30, and we give them an hour's worth of work, and they have 10 minutes to do it. And we're like, hey, can you do this, and this, and these 5 things? And if you get that done, try this. And they're like, uh-huh. And so sometimes we lean on them harder than we should, but I just wanted to thank them guys. So this morning, as you can see on the screen, the title of my sermon is Well Done. And for those of you who maybe know where I'm going with this, the Bible story, I'll give you a head start. It's Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 through 21. So if you got your Bibles and you want to turn and get there ahead of time, that's where we're going to be. I want to start off with a little bit of a story of what I'm talking about. Give a little context to what I'm talking about. I remember, you know how like when you're growing up, you have these memories that like imprint on you that you remember from a very young age. Like it's funny, me and Audra kind of talk about this all the time. She doesn't remember anything from her childhood, which I think is kind of strange, but we talk about this because I'll like bring up a story. I'm like, oh yeah, this one time when I was like 6 or 7, or she's like, I have no memories from that age. Like, I don't understand how you can remember stuff. But if you know my dad, this will make a little bit of sense. But I was about 7, I think, and I was my task for the week or starting this new task was to mow the yard. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, he's 7 years old. We grew up on a farm. I was driving a tractor by then, so it was fine. But I was supposed to start mowing the yard. So I got to mow the yard and I got to start weed eating. And I remember Dad was at work and I was supposed to have it done by the time he got home. And of course, when you're 7 and you get to ride the tractor, it's kind of fun. And mowing the yard seems like fun. When you're 13 and you have to mow the yard, it's horrible. But I mean, you guys get it. But so I jump on the mower, I get the lawnmower going, and I mow the yard, and then I go to weed eating, and I'm weed eating the yard, and I'm just running around, little kid with a weed eater and whatever, and doing my thing, and I get all of it done. I put everything back up in the shed, and I go inside, and I'm watching cartoons or whatever I was doing at 7 years old. And Dad gets home from work, and it's kind of late. It's dark outside, so I'm gonna guess it was like springtime, and maybe it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. Dad gets home from work. He comes in. He goes, Travis. And I was like, that doesn't sound like the "hey, you did a good job" tone. And I said, yeah. He goes, you gonna weed eat the yard? I was like, well, I thought I did. He goes, no, it looked like you walked around in the yard with the weed eater. And I said, okay. And so here I am, 8:30 at night, dark. We walk back out to the shed. We get the weed eater back out. We get it fired up, and he walks around the yard, and he starts pointing out to me the spots that I missed. And I had to go around and fix it. And this was a common theme. I was a slow learner. There was a couple of times where it'd be 11, 12 o'clock as I was a teenager and got in, and I come rolling in before curfew, and Dad goes, "Did you feed the dogs today?" Dang it. And I'm like, but now it's raining. He goes, "Dog needs to eat." I go outside, throw my boots on, and go out, and I do my chores or whatever. But Dad always had this expectation of chores and jobs that needed to be done. He always had this. See, here's the bad thing. I have like 3 stories from my dad today. Because how many of you guys have ever, raise your hand if you've ever been used in one of his sermons? Yeah, I grew up with him using me in his sermons. So this was like I was like thinking about this. I'm like, this is my chance. I'm gonna get him back. I'm gonna use him in my sermons today so that he knows how it feels for the rest of us, that always get, if you say, I will warn you, if you say something to that man, it could be in the sermon next week or 6 months from now, because he'll remember it and go, oh yeah, I remember that one time. So that's just a warning. But I'm going to try to get him back a little bit this morning. But that was the standard that my dad, he had a standard that was, up here. And if I came in too low, I would have to go back and do the job until I met the standard. And so that's how I kind of grew up, and that was kind of the thing that, and I remember, it's kind of funny because that memory of the weed eater, I was young, but I've remembered that my whole life. And I remember once I got done, I walked back into the house after putting everything up. I walked back in the house, and he said, if you're going to do something, you need to do it right, and you need to do a good job. And that stuck with me from that point on. And I always remembered anytime I would be doing something, it's those little things where you're like, I could take a little shortcut here and I could get done quicker or whatever. And I've always remembered that if you're going to do it, just do it right and do it well. Do it as good as you can. And that stuck with me forever. So I learned the importance of doing a job well from a young age. Like that was always the drive for me. So let's pray and then let's get started. Father, I just thank you for this day. I thank you for the opportunity to come and to speak this morning. Father, to deliver the word. And Father, I pray that that I can communicate clearly and that the message that you've given me is one that is crystal clear. And Father, I just pray that I don't get in the way of any of that. Father, I thank you and I love you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. So I guess the next thought that you guys are probably having as you're sitting here thinking is, okay, he hasn't preached for like over a year and he's a Morris. So what time are we getting out today? So I did assure Josh earlier. He was asking, and I said, well, there's no Chiefs game today, so you got nothing to miss. So just sit back, relax, and it'll be fine. But no, I honestly, I don't think we're going to be here all day, but I will preface that by saying, yes, I am a Morris too. So sometimes that gets in the way. Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 through 21 should be up on the screen. So this is Jesus speaking. He's talking in parables to his people, and we'll get into what he's talking about here in just a second. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted them his property. So it will be like a man going on a journey and calling to his servants and trusting them with his property. The context of this is Jesus talking. If you're looking in your Bibles and maybe it's in red or whatever, but this is Jesus talking, and he's giving this lesson about something that is to come in the future. He's foreshadowing. He has something headed our way. So he's telling this parable about this man. He's going on a journey. So it's like that. So that's where we start in the context. And the when is that future Jesus is trying to explain. When do you think the future that Jesus was trying to explain is? Sometimes words are hard. It's now. See, Jesus is trying to prepare these people, and he's trying to get them to start thinking about, hey, there's going to be, because they were asking about, well, where are you going to go? Like, when are you coming back? All these questions started coming up because he started talking about him leaving. And so they were getting concerned because, they followed him around for a while now, and they're getting kind of used to having the Messiah with them. And then all of a sudden when the Messiah is gone, they started getting nervous and worried. And he said, well, what will the end times be like? What will those days exist of? And he said he was trying to explain what it was going to be like. But the reality is we're living in those days now. We are waiting. And after he says that it'll be like this, in verse 15, he says, to the one, so the master goes on a journey and entrusts his servants, but to the one he gave 5 talents, to the other he gave 2, and to the other he gave 1. And to each one according to his ability. Then he went away. So Jesus, he's pretty much drawing it out for him, right? Like he's telling them, hey, I've given you all this work to do, and then I'm going to leave. And you look at this, and he gave them responsibilities that they could handle. He didn't give each of them 5. He didn't give each of them 2. He said, okay, you get 5, you get 2, you get 1. He assigns the work. It's not something we just stumble into or whatever. God he's trying to tell them, he's calling them to something. They have a responsibility, an expectation. He expects them to have this job and do the job. He evaluates the abilities. Think about that. God has evaluated the abilities of these. He's talking through this parable. He's talking through this parable, and he's telling them that I'm giving each of you a job. I'm giving you abilities. I'm giving you assignments, and I'm the one who's divvying those out, or God is the one who's divvying those out. In verse 16, he says, he who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them. And he made 5 talents more. Verse 17, so also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. See, these guys took the job serious. Like they went out, and it even says the first guy that got 5, he went out at once. And he wanted to make sure that he left what he was given better than how he found it. Like he was tuned in. He knew. He got 5. He went out at once and doubled it. The guy who took 2, he takes his 2 and he goes and doubles it. See, these guys understood the assignment. They knew the job. They said that we know the master, we know his expectations. His expectations are for us to go and to increase, to go out. Any of those things sound familiar with the rest of the gospel? See, Jesus is trying to re-emphasize what he's already taught them and what he might even be teaching in the next couple of chapters when the Great Commission comes in 28. But he's trying to make them understand, listen, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to leave. The master is going to leave. He's going to go away for a time, but you have a job to do in the meantime. It's not just sit around and wait. It's not just hope that, he comes back tomorrow and well, we don't have to do much. It's you don't know when he's coming back, and there's a job to do. Like, that's what Jesus is trying to get them to understand and get them all fired up about. It's not just waiting. Like it's not like, when you send one of your family members into the grocery store to grab milk and bread and you're just sitting in the parking lot. No, you've got something else to do. God doesn't just expect us to go and relax and lounge and wait for him to come back. There's a job. But the third guy, let's look at him. Verse 18, it says, but he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. So he took what he was given and he sat on it. That's essentially what he's saying. He didn't do anything productive with it. He didn't think about what's the best way to handle this. He just went, I don't want to lose it. I'll just sit here and wait. And we'll see how that turns out. Maybe he thought I've got other things to do. I'm too busy. I've got responsibilities of my own, and I want to try to get those taken care of. Maybe he thought, well, this is a good time to relax because the master's away. There's a lot of things that we think he might possibly have done, but the most important thing that we know he didn't do anything with what the master had given him. He just sat on it. He just stayed with it. The third guy, it's like, think about this. This is one of those times where you're reading through the Gospels or you're reading through the Bible and you're getting close to the end of Jesus' journey here on his mission here on earth. Like, you're getting close to the end. So if you know your days are numbered, the words you say become more important, right? You don't have that many more conversations to have, that many more lessons to teach. Jesus is in that position, and he's trying to make sure that they understand that, listen, once I go away, it's not just sit around and wait time. Like, we need to be doing things. Like, the very last thing that he talks about with his disciples is in Matthew chapter 28, and he says, go and make. Those are not passive commands. Go. And this is the same thing. He's continuing that theme of making sure that we understand that we're not just here to hang out. We're not just here to socialize. We're not just here to enjoy the blessings that we have at this point. Our job is to produce. Our job is to go. Our job is to be doing something. There's a statistic that's been running through, like, in church communities for years, as long as I've been alive at least, where it's the 80-20 rule. Anybody know what the 80-20 rule is? Somebody in the back does, but everybody else is scared. The 80-20 rule is that 20% of the people are the ones that do the work. Like, there's 80% that consume and 20% that produce. And that's in the church. That's all kinds of studies have been done for as long as I've been alive. You can Google about any of them, and they all support the same thing. And, like, think about this. We've got this story where there's these three categories of guys, and 2 of them are working, and 1 of them is sitting on it. Now, verse 19, now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled the accounts with them. Any of you guys ever had a job where you get reviews? Like, you have 6-month review or 1-year review or whatever, however review. This is the review. Like, Jesus says that the master is coming back and he will take account for what you've done with what he's given you. Like I don't know how much clearer Jesus could be in these parables. It's like sometimes we read some of the parables and it's like, oh, it's kind of like a riddle and it's hard to understand and blah, blah, blah. No, not this one. This one's like, here you go. Here's the backhand to the face. And hey, wake up. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you opportunities. I'm going to give you talents and abilities, and I'm going to ask that you do something with them. And he makes it pretty clear, and he says, well, it's kind of like this story. And he goes, these two guys, and they do a good job. They take what they were given, but this third guy. There's always but this third guy. Any of you guys work with that third guy at your job? If they're with you, don't, raise your hand. But, if I just thought about that, I'm like, wait, they might be coworkers sitting next to each other. I'm like, that guy right there, he's that third guy at work. But, we have... we all have seen that. We all know that. We like to critique those other guys because they're that guy that, they never do any of the work, and I'm the one that always gets stuck picking up the slack or whatever. And here's what Jesus is saying is there's going to be consequences for that third guy. After that work review came back, verse 20 and 21, he says, and he who had received the 5 talents came forward. So he calls him out. He came forward bringing 5 talents more. So he shows up was given 5, he shows up with 10. Saying, Master, you delivered me 5 talents. Here I have made you 5 talents more. Talents is a unit of monetary unit, money. So I've made you 5 talents more. And his master said to him, I want you guys to read this one with me. Verse 21, his master said, well done. Is it up there? Nope, you just can't read. Okay. Just joking. Just trying to see if you're awake. I teach teenagers all the time, so every once in a while you got to take a jab at them, but it's fine. Verse 21, his master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, and I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Well done. I can tell you when I was 7 years old and I was out weed eating the yard and I was out there having fun and I was cutting all the string off the weed eater because I didn't know you weren't supposed to use it on the fence like that or whatever. And I'm trying to figure out how does more string come out of this thing. And I'm out there just having a good time and I go put that weed eater, just a bunch of stuff. I know that 7-year-old boy, and it's an opportunity to teach me, but the reality was I didn't do a good job. I didn't get that well done. I came up short. I got distracted. I wandered around the yard playing with the weed eater instead of cutting the grass like I was supposed to. I maybe thought, that I'd already been over there and I see that I missed that spot, but man, that's a long ways to walk over there carrying the weed eater and weed eat. So I'm just going to go ahead and shut it off and put it in the shed. I know that, 7-year-old Travis thought, all right, I'm going to get home. Dad's going to be like, it's fine. But it's like what Jesus is saying here. That's not the case. The guy who produced 5 or was given 5 and produced 5 more, he was given the well done. The guy, if you go on and read the rest of the story,